Today, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican of Kentucky, is embracing uncertainty today as lawmakers try to navigate a tricky set of votes that could force many Republicans to cross President Trump. Republican Senator Pat Toomey from the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania joins me now live. Senator, thanks so much for joining us, and Merry Christmas. I want to get your reaction to the president's latest tweet. He said, unless Republicans have a death wish, and it is also the right thing to do, they must approve the $2,000 payments ASAP. $600 is not enough. What do you think? What's your response? Yeah, I notice you're in the. There are 5 Republican senators that have come out in favor of increasing the payment from $600 to $2,000, but you are among the. That's 5 Republican senators. You're among the 47 Republican senators that have not.
Well, that's right, Jake, and I'm not going to, because I think it's a very bad idea. I mean, let's be clear about what we're talking about here. We're talking about sending checks, the vast majority of which will be going to people who've had no loss of income whatsoever. That's just a fact. How and why does that make any sense at all? Oh, and by the way, when you bring this direct payment up to $2,000, the total cost is almost 2/3 of $1 trillion. It's over $600 billion, most of which, I mean, the vast majority of which will go to people who had no lost income whatsoever. You know, this makes no sense. We're in a very different place today than we were back in March. And it was of dubious merit back in March, but then at least you could make the case that we actually had no economy. We had so completely shut down the economy that we were looking to send money as a substitute for the economy. Now, we've got a very different situation. The economy grew at 33% last quarter. We've got very acute problems within certain employment groups, right? People who work for restaurants and hotels and travel and entertainment, devastated. But we do not have a global macroeconomic depression underway at all. So it makes no sense to be sending this out to everybody who has a pulse. Oh, by the way, you actually don't need a pulse. Anyone who died this year, dead people are going to get the checks too. I wonder if it's enough stimulus for them. I mean, that's how ridiculous.
Oh, shut the fuck up, dude. Shut the fuck up. Dude. Clown ass, dude. First of all, same arguments can be launched against $600. Same argument, it can be launched against every fucking bit of stimulus. Again, notice how out of touch and asinine and ridiculous this demon fucking sounds. This is exactly what you want. You want Republicans to come out and be like, you fucking dirty poors, you unwashed masses do not deserve any money. Okay? You need them on the record to say shit like this. And then you need to cut out fucking attack ads when the moment comes to remind people that this is precisely why you don't fucking vote for these goddamn Republicans. They can act like they care about you by saying, hey, we'll let you say the N-word, Jack. We don't care. Or, you know, we'll protect your guns. Democrats are socialists. But ultimately, when push comes to shove, when you recognize that you need, when you recognize that you fucking need $2,000 and you're desperate and you see all these fucking big corporations get unlimited funds basically, and the government turns around and says, hey, should we give the people $2,000? They seem to want it. They say, fuck you. They say no. And they're on the record with saying no because they know that you won't pay attention to it. So pay attention to it and remember that. Okay?
This is.
Well, I guess I have a couple questions for you. One in policy and one procedure. On the policy level, you would agree that there are still millions of Americans suffering, people who have lost their jobs, who have lost income,
yeah,
who do need help. What would be a better way to help those people? I mean, you've seen the lines at the food banks all over Pennsylvania, I'm sure.
So, Jake, that's where we should be targeting. And so a lot of the bill that we voted for overwhelmingly does, in fact, target those very people. It's PPP loans, right, which are really grants to small businesses, provided that they keep their workforce employed. So people would continue to have a job because of that money who would otherwise not have a job. There's a plus up in unemployment benefits for people who are actually unemployed. There's an expansion of the eligibility for unemployment benefits to include people like the self-employed and gig workers who've historically not qualified. Those kinds of things make a lot of sense
Pinning working class people against one another too, by the way. That's another fucking common tactic. That's what they used for unemployment insurance, which was a lifesaver for millions of Americans. At its peak, it was like, what, 50 million Americans that were fucking unemployed. And they were literally saying, hey, you're going to give the unemployed this much money. What about the employed? It's like, meanwhile, you are the fucking sole reason why the employed can't even get fucking additional hazard pay, or can't even get the fucking benefits, can't even fucking unionize to make sure that they advocate for their best interests. While simultaneously, they're like, oh my God, it's the fucking employed people. We should pin them against the unemployed, who are literally unemployed as a consequence of COVID. Like, not because of not because they just wanted to be unemployed, but because of COVID. It's fucking bullshit.
We could have a debate and a discussion about whether we should do even more for those things. But when you're talking about the two-income couple who, let's say they both happen to work for the federal government, among the 2 million people who do, they've never had even an interruption in their income. They've had no lost income at all. And if they've got 2 kids, we're going to send them $8,000 of money we don't have? That just doesn't make sense.
Okay, so that's the policy question. The procedure question is, do you think Senate Majority Leader McConnell should offer a clean up or down bill, up or down vote on this issue of $600 to $2,000? I suspect that he might be thinking about other ways to kill it, because I think he agrees with you, such as adding that, the provision to get rid of Section 230, which provides immunity to social media companies from posts that other people put on their sites. I mean, wouldn't a clean up or down vote be the better way to at least legislate this, even if you vote no?
So I don't think so, Jake. And the reason is because I think it makes much, much more sense, and there would be much broader support if this is actually targeted to people who need it. As I say, we don't have this money lying on the shelf. We're either going to print this money or we're going to borrow it from overseas. And either way, we ought to think long and hard about how we're doing this. When you know for a fact that the vast majority of it is going to go to people who've had no loss of income, I think that's indefensible. And so if there's a will...
Dude, shut the fuck up. First of all, that's why there's a fucking means-tested tail end of this proposal where people like myself who are eligible to collect payment from the government for my 2019 tax returns will end up paying all of that back to the government when I'm paying my fucking taxes. Like, shut up. This notion that, like, people that didn't fucking get any fucking losses, these are people that are making less than $75,000 a year. Why the fuck shouldn't they get $2,000? Like, what is this? This concern is so fucking moronic, dude. It's so disgusting, dude.
Will to do more, then we ought to talk about how you do that in a sensible fashion where the money goes to people who actually need it. And we're not going to figure that out.
But like the hilarity is they don't want money to go to the people that actually need it, by the way. Like, that's what's incredibly annoying to me, is that, like, they literally stand in opposition when there are certain provisions that would even give additional help directly to the people that need it. And these are the motherfuckers who are like, nope, fuck that. Those people shouldn't get it either, because then it's a deficit problem. Like, it's bullshit. Like, he's just trying to fucking throw as many defenses as he possibly can. But hey, guess what? It doesn't matter. It's actually a good thing to have these dipshits sound so out of touch. Let them be the ones who are out of touch and not the fucking Democrats, because when push comes to shove, Democrats say this idiotic shit as well all the time. Oh, well, the deficit, we got to, it won't get through PAYGO. Like, this is an important measure. Anyway, dude, are you wearing an Edgar Gonzalez shirt right now? Yes, of course. Is that a joke? Why? He's a fan of mine, and I didn't even know that he was like a famous brand or something. He's the one who's like sent me like 5 of these. I didn't know that he was. I didn't even know that his shirts had. I didn't say friend of mine. I said fan of mine. He's in this community. He's probably in here right now. I don't know him personally until he started sending me the shirts. Why would Biden deliberately misstep? Anyway, yeah, that's a derail. It's derailing the combo.
On a up or down vote that gets jammed in sometime this week.
So obviously, President Trump says that your position is a death wish and the wrong thing to do. He also has been lashing out at Republican leaders for the vote to override the defense bill, calling House Republican leadership weak and tired. Now, a senior Republican told CNN that these rants are, quote, the ravings of a deposed king. How do you see these attacks on Republicans?
Look, I'm not very surprised about tweets that are critical of people who are overriding the president's veto. He doesn't like that prospect. I understand that. But I think that the defense authorization bill, which we have passed for 59 consecutive years.
I love that. I love that. Like, he has to say, like, the defense authorization bill, now that's good spending. You getting $2,000, no, that's bad spending. Not good at all. Terrible spending. You know, the radical poors do not deserve this money. You're making less than $75,000 a year, you're getting $2,000, okay? That's what the Cash Act is. That's all it is. If you're making up to $100,000 a year, it adjusts. It is mean tested and it adjusts to your level of income, but you get something, okay? Meanwhile, motherfucker is out here being like, nope, you don't deserve it. Sorry, it won't happen.
I don't think
and trying to defend it while simultaneously being like, no. Gorillions of dollars of the American military, though. And by the way, which features a lot of foreign aid. Remember that. The American defense spending is not just, giving money to to Veterans Affairs, or it's not just like making sure that the children of veteran get educated. Now, that's a part of it, certainly. That is a part of the budget. It's certainly a big part of the budget, as a matter of fact. And it should be a part of the budget. After all, the American military is a jobs program. It's the largest government jobs program on the planet. It's larger than the Chinese jobs program of the Chinese military. But if you are so angry at, foreign aid, then you definitely shouldn't be in support of like $750 billion going to the fucking American military, because a fuckload of that is foreign aid as well.
Considers it perfect. It is the result of a legislative process, which, by the way, this administration was involved in. And the president's big objection seemed to be the provision that is going to require renaming of military facilities that are named after Confederates. Look, I think that amendment probably goes too far in the dynamic, but I don't have a problem with renaming military bases.
Wait, why does it go too far? Like, Jake Tapper, what is your job, homie? Like, you have one job. You got to stop him at some point and be like, why does it go too far? Please, Senator, explain to me why renaming bases because they're named after white supremacist terrorists. Okay? Why does that go too far? This provision is literally supported almost across the board by every single general. Okay? This didn't just like happen. Please explain to me how you, the moderate Republican, is going to say, renaming the bases goes a little too far. Explain that. It's your job, Jake. Your job's not to fucking sleep. Your job's not to sleep on the fucking wheel, brother. What are you doing there? All you're doing is platform is fucking dipshit if you don't even push back on this. That's like, this is aesthetics shit too. This is literally like the aesthetics, calling every Republican a racist type politics that CNN absolutely loves. If you can't even do that, then what the fuck are you doing? Just ask him that. It's a real simple question. That's bad optics for the Republicans, and it's good optics for CNN.
Against people who did not commit treason and take up arms against the United States. So I don't object.
Why does it go too far? He's admitting it's not a bad thing. That's why he doesn't have a problem with it. So why does it go too far?
Look, I think that amendment probably goes too far in the dynamic, but I don't have a problem with renaming military bases against people who did not commit treason and take up arms against the United States. So I don't
Like, I don't understand. Why? Why, though? Why does it go too far, then?
object to that idea. And the idea that Section 230 should be repealed. Look, I think that's an important
Like, what is the dynamic? Just ask that question. It's not that hard of a question. Okay, that's one. Okay, but that's not the only question you should be asking. The question you should be asking is, like, why do you think foreign aid and this level of military spending is acceptable versus you have such strong opinions on giving people money when it comes to $2,000?
Issue, but that legal liability protection that we granted to these internet companies years ago really enabled spectacular growth in a whole new industry that has done so much for our economy. Is it being abused in some cases? I think it is, actually. But I don't think you just decide one day to throw it all out. I think we've got to think through what are the unintended consequences of that? How might we treat this in a more nuanced way than just completely repealing Section 230?
Before you go, sir, a few weeks ago, you briefly held up the relief bill over concerns you had about a program at the Federal Reserve that you saw as the Fed doing the job of legislators and also allowing members of Congress to sit back and not make tough decisions, let the Fed handle it. As a principle, I understand that. And it seems to be a big problem for Congress, especially when it comes to sending troops abroad, this idea of Congress outsourcing tough decisions to the Fed or the Pentagon. What do you think?
Because a big part of the Republican Party's long-standing ideological project, their efforts, is to literally diminish the power that Congress has and stack the deck with as many Republican judges and justices as possible to hand it off to the courts and then to expand on the executive authority of the president so that the president can unilaterally make decisions and the Congress can't even go against it. And then if there is any sort of issues, then it'll bring it up to the court system, where they have won the battle in stacking the deck with as many Republican psychopaths as possible. That's the reason why there's so many, the unitary executive theory that Bill Barr, who's a massive advocate of, by the way. That's the real answer. That's the real reason why, like, a lot of the congressional authority or congressional power of the purse, for example, is being relegated to the Fed. It shouldn't be, but it doesn't matter. And the only reason why it's being done that way is because there is no fucking way to do anything in Congress, because Mitch McConnell's theory, which is, by the way, a proven to be successful theory, is if you obstruct, no matter what, as long as you get your main policy goals, your main agenda items out the way, when you have majority in the House and the Senate, as long as you get some of the stuff done, as long as you get some of the stuff out of the way, it doesn't matter. Obstructionists are always going to win. They will favor you as long as you obstruct. Your party and your party loyalty will not be tampered, because the Democrats are not going to launch a strong enough argument against you to vote for Democrats and take away your power. The only reason why we have $600 in this CARES relief that was passed with the omnibus is literally because Mitch McConnell's own personal power in the Senate is now threatened because the Georgia runoff races are within a margin of error. That's the only reason why they even said yes to the second stimulus, and that's the reason why we're having a conversation around $2,000.
Well, so there's no question in my mind that for decades now, Congress has been gradually, but seemingly systematically,
obviously, you won't say more. He and McConnell are good friends. You want McConnell to treat him like Obama? McConnell was the only person invited to Bo's funeral. What? I want him to string up McConnell in the Florida Senate from his fucking bowels, bitch. Shut the fuck up, you dumb motherfucker. What do you mean I treat him like his friend? Why would he treat McConnell like he's his friend? If you are running and there's an opportunity in the fucking Senate runoff races in Georgia to literally throw Mitch McConnell out, okay? To throw Mitch McConnell in the trash, to never have to deal with him until the next fucking midterm elections where the Senate power dynamic might change again. Why in the ever-loving fuck should Joe Biden treat Mitch McConnell like there is that's his friend? If his point of view is win the Georgia runoffs so that Mitch McConnell is powerless, or at least his power is greatly diminished, why the fuck should he act like they're fucking friends? I mean, they are friends. But why the fuck should he do that? He's trying to win a race, right? Unless he literally is banking on Mitch McConnell continuing to have control over the Senate.
Transferring the authority that the Constitution and the responsibility that the Constitution assigns to us, transferring that mostly to the executive branch. And I think that's a huge mistake. It diminishes the accountability of these actions, and it diminishes the say of the American people. I do think you can make that case that has happened in the foreign policy.
Nah, man, I think it's smart to hedge bets and not piss Mitch off in case we lose one of the races. That way, there's still a chance they can work out a smaller green package. Still can have Bernie/other players hammer home the 2K message and still hedge. That's bullshit. That's bullshit, dude. No. You're losing then. You're a fucking loser. Like, there is no one, and I mean no one operates this way. Republicans certainly don't operate this way. Why the fuck is Mitch McConnell threatened currently? Why is he threatened to take action currently? Mitch is never going to work with the fucking Democrats. The only time he will allow to work with the Biden administration if he's literally advocating for a Republican agenda item. No, I know that's not his take. It's from a tweet. There is no good reason to try to not piss Mitch McConnell off. Mitch McConnell's not going to fucking actually work with the Democrats unless it's literally a Republican point of view. No, loser POV. Fuck that shit. Absolutely fuck that shit. Uh-oh. Breaking news? What is this? Oh, BNO Newsroom sucks, though. The first case of coronavirus mutation first found in the UK? Yeah, fuck that. I don't. We'll wait for a more legitimate outlet to talk about that.